Yeah, I started, well, in like elementary and middle school, I had music classes, but I don't think that was really the start of my music. I started like actually making stuff in like I think seventh or eighth grade. I would use Audacity, and I would make like meme mashups. I think I have one on my SoundCloud still. It's like the oldest track on there. It's like Cara Bonito and Death Grips. The rest are like all like private or deleted from the internet. But then I started using GarageBand and trying to make more like original songs. Um, and then like I started using FL Studio, and I've been using that ever since. And my music background, I guess I don't have much of a music background. Um, well, I don't. I'm really just. I just like started doing like it's really just like the internet was my background. I'm very influenced by and like the music I make. Very influenced by like hyperpop, of course. I like the shorthand for like describing my music. I call it like hyperpop adjacent or like indie electronic. That's like my one side. That's one side, and then the other side of my music is like um more like stuff I might like actually hear at like a rave or something. I'm also very inspired by the like New York City like local like music's like electronic music scene and like the rave scene. Um, I don't know. It's so cool. I love how it's like totally like community driven. Because like I guess my music background honestly is like the Daria core scene. I would just like oh my god, in the Daria core scene like everyone was like just trying to be like as cracked as possible, just trying to like be like really good. I used to make a lot of Daria core. Um, and that's like cool, and I think that like sort of like boot camped me into being like a good producer. But like the New York like underground like electronic music scene is like it's not really about that. I mean like it's not like people are like not good, but like it's like not just about like you as an individual trying to make the craziest thing possible. It's like there's like also, you know, like the notion of community like I was saying earlier, like you know, and like DJing as sort of like a thing that's like also like it provides like a social function. It's not just this like individual like race towards like the most absurd extreme thing you could ever make. And I don't know. I really like that. Um I think my music is definitely I mean, I don't know. Experimental is such like a loaded word. Like I experiment with my songs, but like, you know, if most of my stuff is like loud and abrasive, then like me writing like just like a something that's just like piano and that's it. Like that's experimental for me, you know, even though it's not necessarily experimental in like the grand scheme of music. Um, so I don't know. I feel like that's I guess I experiment. Um, and yeah, I do like to combine a lot of genres because like you know, hyperpop and Dariocore already bring together so many genres, and me talking about the New York City rave scene. That's a lot of different stuff. You know, that's there's like jungle with like people like Maya 26 doing the jungle network scene and like XX Hardbites. There's jump style with United Jump Front. Um, you know, there's oh my god, there's like Helltech doing their thing. Like there's you know, it's like an electronic music scene, but there's still so much history and so many different genres behind everything. You know, um, I'm a little bit of a nerd, so I do like classifying my music like that. But uh, yeah, I mean, I guess most broadly, it's like hyper pop adjacent. It's like indie electronic music, but I like to draw from a lot of different styles, like intentionally, and like find the similarities in them, and like try to make something unique with that while being respectful of like the cultures they come from. You know. Um, yeah, I definitely do. I definitely am inspired by house music. I mean, like jump style is like pretty like inspired by hard house music. You know. Anyways. I mean, I don't like story. Like, I think I sort of. I mean, like I do have lyrics, and they're about things. Um, but it's, and I'm sort of like storytelling in my lyrics, but not in like a like the way you might hear in like, I mean it's like it's happening, but it's more about a feeling. Um, and like I sort of I tend to prioritize like immediate emotional reaction over like what you can gain after like heady analysis, because I feel like that's like the strength of music, in my opinion. That's one of the strengths of the medium, is that it's like so immediately emotionally affecting. But of course, that's not to knock concept. Like there are still lyrics and you can read them, and there's a story happening. Sort of. I don't think it's really a story. I mean, I think it's like, that's I'm telling stories, I guess, but it's not. I mean, the main goal is to make music, not tell a story. That's just something that also happens. And I really like the feeling, like the story, sort of slash like feeling. The main feeling behind my upcoming album, I think, is it's very like lonely, and not necessarily in a bad way. Um, I don't know. I guess if there's a story being told in that album, it's like me, like learning how to be alone. Even if that's not like directly what I'm talking about in the lyrics, it's like I'm sort of reckoning with uh, a lot of the feelings that have come up in the past year in reaction to being alone, and I've like yeah, I've been learning how to be comfortable alone, and that's a lot of different things. It's like listening to like the craziest like sound like music on SoundCloud that's like so fun and energetic and insane at like 3 a.m. with the lights off, and with the only light source being my computer screen, just like jamming out in my room alone, no one watching me. Or like walking around in like a big empty space, um, or like actually like being like, damn, like I feel lonely. There's a lot there. The process behind my music is like, well, it really depends. A lot of my music, like the song I made with Three Mouth, was like super fluid, because I tend to like be able to like I get into like flow states, and then I get like stuck, and it's like it takes me a really long time to finish a song. But like I can usually like, get like ideas out there like pretty quickly. It's just I'm like kind of a perfectionist, and I polish and polish and polish pretty endlessly. I re-listen to things a lot. I listen to my own music all the time, um, and sometimes I change it. I don't know, but I it's very I want it to be very fluid. I think I've gotten to a point where like technical ability is not really a limitation anymore. Like if I have an idea in my head, I can sort of just like fashion it together. Um, but the thing is, I feel like usually songs don't come together because I have an idea in my head, or if I do have an idea in my head, it's not what the song ends up sounding like. Usually, I'm just messing around, and it's sort of like a just doing things, and like something is interesting that like is unexpected too, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting, and I like push that, and I try to make something out of that, um, as opposed to like just like trying to like like having a concept in my head and then trying to like translate that from my head into audio. I feel like that's not usually what happens. um, yeah, I think with lyrics though, I tend to do that a little, but I think usually those lyrics don't turn out as good. These days, when I'm writing lyrics, I'm really just journaling, and then like sometimes when I journal, like it like ends up as lyrics. Um, I don't really write lyrics with the like direct intention of them being lyrics all the time anymore. I feel like it wasn't very effective. It would always be very slow. I would be like constantly editing myself and not be able to like write the next line. Um, I Electronic music. Well, if we want to go really far back, um, in like elementary school, I liked Skrillex. um, but then I don't know. I didn't really exist for a while. I mean, I think really like the main thing was like 100 gex and like oh my god when the it was actually when the I think the day after Anthony Fantano uploaded his 1,000 gex review, I was intrigued and I listened to it, and I I like my mind was like blown. I was like, oh my god, and that was like my gateway into the world of hyperpop, and then digicore, um, and like glitchcore when that was like more active, and then Dariacore after that, and I've just sort of been super into electronic music since then. But like even before I listened to 100 gex, all the music I would make was electronic because I would be a producer. It's just that I didn't really like. There were just so many possibilities that were opened. Like once I like got tapped into that scene, there were so many more like things to draw from, more like influences, more like things to reference. You know, um, it was just a lot richer of like a cultural background, and not just one cultural background, like a lot richer of, and a lot more like just more cultural backgrounds to be influenced by. The impact I want to leave with my music is a really um big question, and probably not one that I can fully answer, at like the point in my like music making, just the point I'm in my relationship with music, because it's no longer just doing it for myself because people hear my music, but it's not like I really have a platform, so I don't know. I think leaving a legacy would have to still be like a possibility, or like something more real before I can like fully reckon with it. But I think it's really easy to fall into the pitfall of just like wanting to be big and like influential. I tend to want people to think of me as like driven and hardworking and prolific, but um, I don't know. There's sort of a tension between like that and just like wanting to do things that are like more based in community and more local, and then there's also a tension between like those things and wanting to be able to afford to live um off of like music, which I don't know if that's really possible, but I think my impact, I don't know. I want to be the kind of person that motivates other people. I want my ideas to be fresh. I want it to be like, sort of something that sparks investigation and curiosity into the things that make up the music I make, like the different genres, like the histories of like different rhythms I'm using, without me having to like be so like explicit and on the nose in my lyrics, because that's really only one part of it. I think I want to spark conversation. I think I'd rather make music that is like actively bad, and I don't think my music is actively bad, but like if like I'd rather have people think my music is bad than think it's and like actively bad than like think it's just like boring, like wallpaper. Like I want to make something that's like unique, you know? I want to have a recognizable sound and a unique style, and I want people to, be able to think about where that style comes from and what what can be done with it in the future. zip file of a bunch of um like like there were like drum breaks, like different samples, oh like drum one shots too, like kicks, claps, like etc. And yeah, that was the story behind how it started, which I think is pretty cool because Three Mouth is awesome, Nat is awesome, and their music is sick. So that was really cool. Making the song, so yeah, they sent me that big zip file, and I sort of made like I made like a I chopped up the drums, and I sent it, and then they added some like chords and stuff, and then they were good. So then I added more like structure to the song, like more yeah, like I structured the song a bit more, and then sent it back, and then like they added like the sub bass and some like cool stuff. Oh, they also added vocals. I don't know how I forgot to say that. Um, and yeah, then sent it back, and I did like the final like mix, and yeah, it was like super smooth. I mean, it kind of took a while because I was like so busy during this time period making my 8 foot tall inflatable, um, and other things, but like the amount of time like I spent working on it was like so much less. Like it was just like so much less banging my head against the wall because like I would make things until I got stuck, and then I would send it to Nat, and then they would like add to it, and I would be like, oh my god, this is like so nice. Like collaboration is great. Like I have to do it more. That was my first ever time collaborating on production with someone. My one other collaboration is with Kiki is Dead and Yao Yao, and they're both also very cool, dude. Kiki, great rapper. Oh my god, so good, dude. And from our song Holy Moly, and that's also one of my favorite songs. So I hope to do more collaborations in the future, but I'm not like one to like reach out. um, so I guess I'll see. Yeah, so I am mostly like pretty much like self-taught. Um, but I did take one class called Designing Interfaces for Live Performance, um, about a year ago. And that class was great. It didn't really teach me about production, but it did sort of introduce me to Ableton, which was cool. But really, the main thing is I got to like build like like a electronic instrument basically, like and like design and build my own electronic instrument, and that was awesome. And like using Ableton sort of like changed the way I like write music. Like if I hadn't taken that class, like my song for United Jumpfront, I probably couldn't have made it because like I think the way I tend to write is like I have an idea, and then I am like constantly iterating until I have the best version, and that's the version that is like finalized. And because of that, a lot of my songs are structured very linearly, which I'm okay with this, where it's like instead of like building up on like just one idea over time and varying it, it's like the best version of that idea, and then it goes to another idea. Um, but for like in Ableton, there's like the arrangement view, and there's also like performance mode, which is like so much more. You just have clips and you turn them on and off, and it's a very like fluid way to work, if maybe like kind of ephemeral. And I don't know, it made me think about writing music in a different way, and like I can have these like multiple ideas coexisting, um multiple variations of one idea rather. And that's sort of how the United Jumpfront track came about. I just like had like this like central like rhythm, and it just like I just have like a bunch of different variations. So instead of like deleting or just like replacing it until I found the best version, I would just like copy and paste it to the next 8 bars and then change the variation. So it's like constantly like iterating upon itself like throughout the song. Um, and I think yeah, that was pretty cool. And also just like building my own electronic instrument, like what the like I coded with Arduino. I really want to do another instrument, especially one that doesn't have to be hooked up to a laptop, because like come on. But Yeah, I plan on doing that more, but right now that's like kind of not my focus, but it's definitely I really want to keep doing that. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can give advice for upcoming experimental electronic artists. I think it might be a little funny because I think I'm sort of in that category, but I think peer feedback is important. um, yeah, I think that I don't know. I have like a I'm pretty like set in my ways. Like I have a philosophy. I have like I'm pretty opinionated. Um, I think that suffering through things to learn is like really important. I think trying to take shortcuts to learn things quickly is like a recipe for failure. I think relying on tools like generative AI to like help you like learn things quicker is not truly fruitful. I think you need to suffer through things. I think you need to be bad. I think it needs to be tough and tiring to actually learn. And I stick with that. I think that it's important to be political. I think that if you consider yourself an apolitical person, if you don't do politics, that doesn't really, politics will still exist in your life if you even if you choose to ignore it. Um, and this can affect your music because making music is labor, and that's inherently political, and just being aware of the cultural like context you're making music in and like your place in that is like important. um I think that everyone who makes music should listen to rap music. I think that if you make music and you're like, I don't like rap music, like you're it's just like you just need to listen to like is your music like I think if you make music and you're like, I don't like rap music, like I don't know, you're doing yourself a disservice. um Both your like knowledge and appreciation of other cultures and just like your own music. um you need to listen to like rap music. And I say I think this about like most genres honestly, but I say this about rap specifically because like people will be like, oh, I listen to everything but country and rap. And it's such rap is so broad and there's so much to it. um and it's just like I think if you want to make good music, you need to open yourself up to you need to expose yourself to as many different styles as possible. That's like I very firmly believe that. um like very firmly. And I also think I'm pretty like art before like promoing. Like I'm like uh I definitely emphasize like making the art before like trying to like get your name out there, because I think that if the art is, the cream of the crop generally rises. um and I I think that if your stuff is good, then you're going to be able to get a footing much easier because other artists will see that and recognize that. And then you can proceed from there. And that's sort of where I'm at. I'm not trying to sound like conceited, but I'm confident in my music making ability, and it's getting to a point where I've made a lot, and I'm starting to put myself out there. But I think if I was trying to do that before like having like a backlog and like really like just working on the music and just the music, I think um my music would be very different. I think I'm glad that I focused so little on marketing myself, honestly, because you'll still find opportunities and you'll still make friends, you'll meet cool people, because there's so much more to music than Instagram, dude. There's like so much more. I might have strayed from advice a little, but I think that's sort of how I go about things. And I honestly I think a lot of that can be applied beyond music too.